Hello everyone, welcome to the Microdesk webinar series. My name is Megan Fullagar. I'm the Marketing Manager here at Microdesk. Welcome to today's webinar, What's New in 2013 Navisworks. For those of you who aren't familiar with us, Microdesk is an Autodesk Gold, Oracle, and Google partner. We provide technology training and consulting solutions for the AEC industry. We have 12 offices located throughout the East and West Coast with a staff of over 90 consulting and technical specialists. The new Autodesk 2013 products have come a long way. Over the next half hour, we'll take a look at just how far Autodesk solutions for construction project management have come and dive into the best new features of Navisworks and how they significantly improve integration, collaboration, and interoperability. Presenting today's session, we have with us Microdesk Solutions Specialist, Kevin Phillips. Kevin is a solutions specialist with expertise in building information modeling. He provides technical support, training, implementation, and consulting services to architectural and building engineer clients on strategies for integrating BIM into their design process. He specializes in assisting mechanical, electrical, and plumbing engineer clients with implementing their software solutions, providing technical assistance and best practices recommendations, as well as standards creation support. Just a few logistics before we begin. In order to minimize any background distractions, you are all on mute for the duration of the session. If you have any questions during the presentation, please type them into the questions area of the webinar toolbar to the right of your screen. Kevin will address as many of your questions as he can at the end of the presentation. If we run out of time, we will provide you with our contact information so you can follow up with us. And now I'll turn it over to Kevin. Up. Looks like we're having some problems. Kevin, I can't hear you. Now try.
Okay, thanks, Megan.
Okay, there you go. Sorry about that, guys.
Okay, thank you, Megan. Good afternoon. Today, we want to take a look at the Navisworks 2013 features, and what I'm going to do is talk about the new features first, and then we'll take a look at a demo specifically regarding the timelining features and the clash detection features. So, starting off, the key new features in Navisworks 2013, we can put these into a couple categories. One being streamlined team workflows and also project simulation and coordination. So under streamlining team workflows, we can now natively open Revit files within Navisworks. We also have the support for grids and levels, which allows us to interactively see grids and levels based how they were drawn up in the Revit model. Also, improved selection tools. Now they've enhanced the selection tools and added a few other tools that we'll take a look at, and to allow us to select items and filter through those items and see, individual items and their properties. Regarding project simulation and coordination, they've added the ability for us to add costs to our task timeline, so we can see throughout the project in a sequence the cost at a specific time in the project. So this is good for passing on to the owner or project coordinator or project manager, so we can see where we're at in the project and if the cost is on that same timeline. Also, clash detection was rewritten, the interface was rewritten, and there were some tools added to clash detection to allow us to better organize those clashes. So looking at streamlined team workflows, Revit interoperability, we see here when the Revit file is brought into the project, the Revit file is categorized as a hierarchy in Navisworks 2013. So we are able to go through each individual item as it's categorized and select and deselect, those specific items. So it allows us to pick out those the hierarchy of how Navisworks 2013 builds it up. So this allows us, it streamlines the design and the construction modeling process. So with levels and grids, now that we can see interactively the grids in the building, if we have a clash or some sort of item that we're looking at in this area, we can easily see where we're at in the project, and then we can go back to our design software and find with the levels and grids really easily pinpoint that location, so we don't have to search around for those items. So this is a great new feature, and it saves some time, navigating through your project. Another tool that was added is called the Selections Inspector. We'll take a quick look at this in the demo, but we're able to select items in the project, and it brings up the properties of those items, and we can jump to those items or remove it from the selection and see specific properties of those items. They did enhance the sets window in Navisworks 2013, and then there's another nice feature that was added, the ability to drag and drop selections onto specific tools that we're working with, and we'll take a look at that with the timeliner in the demo portion. So this allows us, they've looked at streamlining specific tasks that we spend a lot of time on, and it allows us for a faster workflow. So under project simulation and coordination, we now have the ability to do 5D analysis. As you can see here, we can add to our tasks material costs, labor costs, and equipment costs, and we're able to show these costs in our simulations. They can be exported and then given to or used for project management just to keep track of our project and see if it's on time and on cost at a specific point in time. So the clash detection improvements is in what we'll see. We can now, if we go through and do a clash report, typically you'll see thousands of clashes. So they've taken a look at this to see how they could add enhancements so we could filter through all these this large number of clashes and get them into a sortable format that we can take bit by bit and take care of those clashes in our project. So what I want to do now is take a look at, I have Navisworks here on my screen, and we're going to take a look at a quick demo of the timeliner, and then we'll look at also the clash detection. So what I have here is a sample hospital project, and here's just a 3D view of that project. I've turned on my timeliner tool, so when I select my timeliner tool here, the dialog shows up here at the bottom. Now if you're used to this, if you've used Navisworks previous releases, you can see that the interface has changed a little bit. We still have our tools, our tabs for data sourcing, configure, simulation, but they also have added some tabs here right under our toolbar, and allows us to add tasks, insert tasks, and do some automation of adding tasks. A couple of other items that are brand new that they've added is the ability to move our tasks around within our list of tasks that we have, and then we have the ability to create indent or outdent those tasks if we're trying to build up a hierarchy. So we can put tasks within tasks really easily by the click of a button here. And then we have our zoom tools for expanding the visibility of our task. So what I want to do here is take a look at adding a task. So specifically, if I wanted to add a task, it just comes, right in line here. And then I can take this task and move it around based on where I'm at in my timeline or sequence. So if I was building up some sort of sequence, here I could start naming these tasks and then I can start to insert new tasks that I want to build into this sequence. So I can start to move these around and say I want to insert another task. So what I'll do is start naming these specific to what they are going to show in our sequence. I already have some viewports set up, and what I want to do here with these viewports is pull in this information onto the specific task. So when I get my tasks created here, I can take these tasks and indent them, as I mentioned before, into my sequence. So now I have this sequence A with these tasks specifically to foundation and structure. So what I'm going to do over here, I have a viewport already set up with all my foundation items that are isolated. So I can take my selection tool, select these foundation objects, and then go back to my select tool. And here's the drag and drop feature, which is really nice. I can drag these items onto my task that I'm specifically interested in, which is foundations here. And then it shows me I have an explicit selection, from my window that has been pulled onto this task. And then I'm building up my task type as a construction, and I would change that here. So with the same with the structure, I could use my selection box, select the whole structure, and then with my select tool, drag these onto the specific task that I'm interested in. So if I was building up this sequence, I could then take the dates, start date, end date, and then show this sequence in a simulation over time of how it is being constructed. But I just wanted to demonstrate the drag and drop feature there. So I actually have a sequence already generated here that I want to take a look at. I'm going to make sure I get all my items back. And if I take a look at this sequence in the simulation tool, I'm going to press play. And then if we went through and put dates and times, we could generate this on our sequence that I created. So then it'll go through and build up, and you may have seen this before in earlier releases. But one thing to note here is the addition of the cost analysis that we now have in our window. And these have been added specifically in our columns. We're able to add in our columns material costs, labor costs, and equipment costs. And then we can show in specific times in the project where we're at. If I pulled to a specific date, I could see what my total cost should be and then correlate that with my schedule. Go back over here. So we're able to add those costs. We see we have total costs here, and then I can easily choose additional costs that I want to add to this sequence. So that's a quick overview of the timeliner. What I want to do now is jump into clash detection. So I have another model here that I already have built up, and I want to look at my clash detection tool real quick. So I have a clash already set up here against my supply air, return air exhaust, against some structural members in the project. I'm going to run this test really quick. So while that's running, let's take a look at the new interface of clash detection. We have our batch results up here, as we did before, but they're in a collapsible format. I can get rid of these batch results if I need to. And then we still have our rules select in our results tab and reports tab available to us. As you see, there has been some interface design enhancements, we can collapse our display settings or bring them back out, and then our items show up here at the bottom that we can collapse. And we still have the features of grouping those items in the switchback feature that was released in 2012, and then also the select items. So now we're able to collapse that and then just focus on all of our clashes, which is important here. So if I go through some of the display items, I can start to display the first item, the second item, and then if I want to get rid of all of my highlighted clashes and want to stay specific to this clash that I've selected, I can isolate those clashes to visually see that. So one major enhancement now that they have in clash detection and with grids and levels, it's now integrated in the clash detection reporting. So we can go through here and sort our clashes by the level by selecting the category or the title of the column. So now I have all my level 5, or I can start at level 1 and work through level 1 clashes. We could actually isolate the grid intersections if we have a specific area that we want to focus on. And I'll take a quick look, and we can turn on our grids by going to our View tab and selecting the grid system that you want to use. If I had another grid system loaded in this project, I could select it here. So if I say I want to show this grid and try to find out, what areas is clash in, I can easily see, visually the grid system, and then I can go back to my project and focus, in on that grid section. So if you've been in coordination meetings before, there's always questions that come up. Where are we at as far as the grid intersection? So I can find that in my design software. And here's another view of, if I start to scroll through, we can see how the grids show up top and bottom between each level. So that's basically, a quick overview of clash detection. I think what I can do now is show one quick, another item that has been enhanced in Navisworks is the new feature of the selection inspector. So if I were to jump back to and pick my structural item, I can, maybe I want to isolate down to a couple of levels and hide the unselected items. So maybe I'm interested in, items in this specific area. So I can come in here with my selection box and select these items. And then the selection tool, or the selection inspector, now we can get to, I can right-click on my screen or just select it here. So with the selection inspector, we now have a dialog that shows me information about all these columns or beams that are in my project. So I can see here and scroll through, and if I'm interested in a specific item, like this column here, I can press the play button and it basically zooms to that object, and I can take a look at that object if I need to move it, or if it's in clashing against something else. And if I wanted to take this object out of the selection, I can just deselect it here. So that's a quick overview of the selection inspector. So that concludes the demo portion. So basically we've seen really quickly streamline team workflows. There are things that were enhanced to allow us to streamline our team workflows. We looked at a couple. The project simulation and coordination. Now we can add cost and simulation. And then we also looked at the clash detection enhancements. So now I think I'm going to turn it back over to Megan. If we have any questions, I believe we're going to.
Yeah, at this point we'll be accepting any questions you may have. So just type them into the webinar toolbar under questions. I'll just give it a couple minutes. All right. I have one for you, Kevin. Can you export the sequence, simulation, and timeline?
Yeah, exporting, the sequence that we looked at. If we were wanting to export that, we actually, let me jump back over here. There are some, if I'm in my simulating, if I ran through a simulation, they actually have added a few additional tabs here and there, and we do have an export animation option within our animation of timeline. But you can always go to your output and output the animation if you want to that way too.
Okay, that's great. And then one more. When moving to 2013, should I be concerned with objects in my files not showing up?
Yes, so yeah, that is a concern. Typically you do want to make sure the objects are showing up in all the file formats. And with 2012 they had this, but with also 2013 we can check our scene statistics option, which allows us to analyze the objects that are in this file just to see if all the objects are showing up. So if you do move to 2013 and you're using map software or software for fabrication, you do want to make sure that you get the object enablers installed in 2013, and Autodesk has released some of those. So once you get those installed, you can ensure that all the objects are showing up. But you can always check here to see where to find those object enablers.
Great. All right. Okay, well, thank you, Kevin, and thank you, everyone, for attending today's webinar. We hope you found this helpful and educational. And we also have lots of links where you can reach us at. If you have any other questions or you'd like to learn more about the new Autodesk 2013 solutions and how to get started, you can visit us at www.microdesk.com, and the URLs you see here, or give us a call. And again, thank you for joining us. Have a great rest of the day. Thank you.